Hello everyone. So today we'll be doing another review on a study upon smartphone-based visual inspection with acetic acid. This is for cervical cancer, and let's get to the study. So let me check this. Just a second. Yeah. So cervical cancer is a very common problem in developing countries, especially in countries like India. It is one of the most common cancers in women. And the study gives the report of 600,000 new cases globally. That is in 2020. And the number is very high for developing countries. And so WHO has set a goal of 90, 70, 90 for eliminating cervical cancer by 2030. This is basically 90% is vaccination. That means 90% of girls should be fully vaccinated against the human papilloma virus by age 15. 70% of women should be screened for cervical cancer using a high performance test by age 35 and then again by age 45. And 90% of women with precancerous lesions should be treated, and 90% of women with invasive cancer should be managed. This is the 90 70 90 goal set by WHO. So, this visual inspection with acetic acid for cervical cancer screening has been useful in low resource settings. This is one modality other than visual inspection with Lugol side image is also possible. So, um, acetic acid is applied to the area and then it is screened by a healthcare worker to see if the lesions are looking like the areas which are affected. If they look different upon visual inspection, then it is like more indicative towards this used as screen modality to a relatively high sensitivity. Then the challenges of this modality include that the traditional via has high variability, and hence there's a need for improved diagnostic tool in low resource environments. So there were many studies which were published in this regard, that is using smartphone based applications to screen for cervical cancer, as in say, images are stored and then they are analyzed, and this is like more acceptable than a primary level worker going. That is, a medical officer may not be able to go directly and screen in remote areas. So we are giving that um, job to usually primary healthcare workers, which is sometimes a problem because they're not experienced enough. And doing this through a software as such is likely to improve the accuracy of the same. So this study basically did a literature search of Medline and Lilac's database from 2015 to 2021, and these were the keywords used. So studies using smartphones for DY and low resource settings were included, and the evaluation of smartphone image quality and diagnostic performance was analyzed. So let me get to the article. From 2015 onwards, there was a comparison. This Ricard Gauthier et al. They did a comparison of VIA and DVIA on-site and DVIA off-site. They even listed the phone models too, interestingly. Now, the cervical intraepithelial neoplasia can be as in 1, 2, or 3 involving. This is graded upon the based on the involvement of the amount of epithelium. I mean, one third are, for example, in one. So they what they did was they used it, and comment upon that is that offsite assessment was feasible, and histology was used as a reference in the study to test this against the histology of the patient. And there was a dropout rate of 27.9%, which is given as a limitation. But this is Fine, as in it is an earlier study and the sensitivity ranged from 42.9 to 85.7%. And lower sensitivity was seen for on-site assessment than reported in literature. Later on, several studies followed. So sensitivity to detect CAN2 plus lesion is better than generally reported. This was in 2017. Now, if we go further forward to 2021, we can see that there is a very good acceptability. Low sensitivity, considering this as an HIV population, let's just leave it over there. But the performance to detect CN2 plus offsite and acceptability of DYR was considered in this. Though the sensitivity was low, we can see that 99.4% of women were comfortable with the use of a smartphone. So this these are some of the studies till 2022 which were published upon DYR. And this is something like for the future, as in where in remote settings in developing countries where people can't get to, as in where medical officers can't by themselves go and assist. This is a like this can be a, what do you say? Yeah, a modality which can be used to replace the traditional methods, as it has relatively higher specificity. Now, image quality. DY image is deemed satisfactory for diagnosing CAN1 or CAN2 plus. Then this was there, and sensitivity and specificity varied, as I already told. Higher acceptability among healthcare providers and patients was seen with this. And smartphone DYR, it is cost effective and accessible in low resource settings, as I already told. Limitations include a variability in sensitivity and specificity across studies, but this can be quite improved with advancing modalities and newer technologies. Need for standardized protocols and training is required. Future integration of AI algorithms for automated lesion detection is something which we are doing right now, which is going on. Now, this research had a few gaps, as in there was a need for randomized control trials, which were large scale studies comparing Y and DYR. Longitudinal studies to assess the long term effectiveness is required, and exploring barriers and facilitators to adopting DYR, that is also required. So, smartphone DYR is a promising tool for improving cervical cancer screening in low resource settings, and it aligns with WHO goals. Hence, we need further research and implementation of smartphone-based screening programs wherever possible, as it has a higher acceptability and sometimes a relatively high sensitivity as well as specificity. Thank you all for your patient listening.